Orphan 55. The Doctor and her friends get transported via teleport to Tranquility Spa, a seemingly perfect holiday destination, for some well-earned rest. Along the way they encounter a selection of colourful characters who are all attending the spa, including a squirrel kind of assistant person named Hyphen, with a 3, the head of security named Kane, who's a no-nonsense kind of military type, a young woman named Bella, who Ryan seems to hit it off fairly well with, an elderly couple named Vilma and Benny, the kind of main maintenance man named Nevi, played by the In-Betweeners actor James Buckley, and Nevi's son Silas, a brilliant young mind played by Llewyn Lloyd from his Dark Materials. Now, while Tranquility does appear to be very tranquil and be a very nice place, they soon discover things are not quite all perfect. Someone is using hopper viruses to break down the spa's security, and it turns out that Tranquility is something of a fakecation, a big spa area built in the middle of nowhere. And it turns out that Tranquility Spa is located on Orphan 55. It's a very dangerous planet, and the creatures that inhabit Orphan 55, known as dregs, are trying to get in. So it's up to the Doctor and her friends in order to try and rescue as many people as possible and ultimately escape Tranquility Spa. Now, like Spyfall Part 1, this one for me required a second look. Because when I first saw it yesterday, I was just thinking to myself, whoa, you're doing a lot too quickly, because they do throw a lot at you. And I felt myself having difficulty keeping up until maybe the last third, when things started to kind of sink in. But, I don't know, I was worried about it, but then it did all seem to come together, and I was like, okay, does this work? But then, when I rewatched it through earlier today, so I could have a proper view of it for this review, I suddenly thought to myself, actually, yeah, it kind of does work. I don't think it's the greatest episode ever, but yeah, it kind of does. I can understand what it was trying to do, and it, in a way, sort of works. Now, if you come this far, I know we're only a few minutes into the review, but if you haven't seen the episode yet, go off, watch it, because I'm about to spoil the big plot point of the episode in 3, 2, 1. Still there? Okay, good. And they soon discover that the planet Orphan 55 is actually Earth. Earth in the far future. Now, while the Doctor lampoons the team for building a holy spot on an orphan planet anyway, because for us, orphan planets do actually exist, but they're not quite the same as what's shown in the show. In the show, orphan planets are planets that over time became uninhabitable via species, people living there. Eventually, they made the planet uninhabitable. The population evacuates and abandons the planet. Things like climate change, mass evacuation, nuclear war, and global warming may eventually lead to the planet being evacuated and becoming an orphan planet. That's their explanation. For us, orphan planets aren't quite the same, but then we still, as the human race, we don't know if we're alone in the universe, or whether there are other alien species out there on other planets. So we personally haven't yet abandoned Earth, so we don't know if those type of planets will actually exist. But for us, orphan planets are essentially rogue, also known as rogue planets, are free floating planets. Planets that may not have actually become attached gravitationally to a star. They can be known to orbit entire systems or just not orbit at all. So, our idea of orphan planet and their idea of orphan planets, they do tend to differ. But, anyway, back to the point. As I said, Orphan 55 is Earth. Earth, meaning in the far future, Earth became uninhabitable. and eventually humanity left. We moved away, and then eventually they came back and built the spa there. And the dregs, the creatures that are trying to get in, they're what remained of humanity. I They thought that anything that our planet became toxic, and that anything remained would eventually die. But no, seemingly the things that did survive mutated into dregs, creatures that need CO2 in order to live, and they take in CO2 and put out oxygen, kind of the reverse of what we currently do, and turn into these monstrous beings. Now, when I found this out, I was a little concerned because I was thinking, can Doctor Who do PSA episodes, do cautionary tale episodes? Because first time around I was thinking, okay, can we mainly watch Doctor Who? I know that every now and then some TV shows may do kind of warning episodes, PSA episodes, kind of telling you how to be safe about things, but then I thought, is Doctor Who really the place where you want to see this kind of thing? I mean, it's not that they couldn't do it, it's just we watch Doctor Who for big, mad space adventures, space and time. So can they really do something like this? But upon looking back on it, they probably do it much better than I'd give them credit for. But then there's also the thing of they have two distinct styles of familial conflict. And when watching the episode first time around, I was like thinking, okay, you're adding that on top of this. You might be doing a bit too much here. I mean, you've got the familial conflict of the parent who doesn't quite have faith in their child, which can be relatable for some people, and there's also the familial conflict. I won't give away necessarily who it's with, but the parent who isn't there, who seemingly puts their work first, and their argument being, I'm doing this for my child so that they can have something. They can have a nest egg. They can have the money and the freedom to do what they want. And because they aren't there, the child kind of becomes angry and irrational. So adding that on top of that, I kind of felt first time around, okay, does this really work? You're attempting to do a PSA slash cautionary tale episode, and you're also attempting to add in two styles of familial conflict. Does this really work? But upon a second watch through, yeah, I admit it kind of does. I mean, I wouldn't want Doctor Who to constantly do kind of PSA or cautionary tale episodes, but for once in a while, it is interesting to see just how perfect we think our lives might be, or our perfect place might be, and then to find out the kind of downside though, it's in quite a shocking and frankly heartbreaking way. It it really actually does very well. So upon reflection, I actually think Orphan 55 is a decent episode. Like Spyfall Part 1, it required a second watch through, but upon second watch, yeah, I think it does work. It's weird, and but it does show that in the long run we are going to have to change our ways in order to help save our planet. I mean, while things might not become quite as drastic as they are in the episode, we're not that far off. So, in order to really save things, we've got to make changes now in order to create a better future for ourselves, which the episode does address. But it seems like we're going to be back to wacky time adventures next week, as they've got an episode with Nikola Tesla and what appears to be a giant scorpion creature. Oh, that'll be interesting. But until then, Orphan 55, I was hesitant about it, but yeah, I think Orphan 55 works. Anyway, see you next time.